I'm going to do this a little bit different. So we've done these games for tonight. I'm wearing a jersey of a team that won tonight, all that regular stuff. And that's a rule that after a game when I'm doing, or after a night of games, I wear a jersey of a team that won. So I'm going to do the news bit first because there's a lot of things people have been asking about today, so we're going to squash this in here. Brock Boeser and Oscar Fantenberg in concussion protocol after last night's game. I'm not surprised by Fantenberg. That was a brutal hit that he took. Which I kind of saw coming. Sabourin was on the ice, and I was like, I got to watch 49. So I was actually watching him skate around the ice. It wasn't his fault, but it was a sandwich effect, and of course, the player that catches him from behind is the one that got 5 in a game. It was a brutal-looking hit. And then Boeser, that one didn't look as bad, but of course, with Brock Boeser's injury history, you've got to be extra careful, and that's what I'm hoping is happening here, that this is extra careful. He's one injury away from me going, yep, injury prone. If he has a major injury this year, that's 3 years in a row, and I can say, yeah, that's injury prone. Injury prone is usually not to say that the same spot is injured. It's not always a knee, it's not always an ankle, it's just they get injured. Sammy Salo being the biggest example as a Canuck fan that I can think of. Ground was broken on a new building for the New York Islanders. I didn't really talk about it yesterday because honestly, it to me wasn't really a big surprise. The Belmont Arena is going up, and the Islanders are staying put. Gary Bettman, of course, was there to talk about how great it is that the Islanders aren't going to move, and there's certainty there. So congratulations to the Islanders on having that out of the way. Today was Gritty's first birthday. Happy birthday to Gritty. A mascot which really has transformed how mascots are perceived around the league. And honestly, he's been great for the game. He's been great for the Flyers. And you get the feeling that that is now the standard when it comes to mascots. The next time that a team's changing their mascot, they're going to be compared to Gritty. What they do is going to be compared to Gritty. So you can't just have your basic boring mascot that waves at people. You got to have something a little bit more scary looking, who's also pretty entertaining and funny. So happy birthday to Gritty. And then the last piece of news, and honestly, I'm gonna read this to you guys from the article on TSN, because this has been everywhere, and TSN's used 3 different pictures of Austin Matthews today. So Austin Matthews was not arrested. This is not a driving under the influence. This is not a domestic incident. All right, so he allegedly attempted to open a vehicle of a female security guard around 2 in the morning on May 26th. This is in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm guessing it was hot. I'm guessing he was mildly inebriated or more. The complainant, upon being confronted by the female security guard, Matthews then allegedly pulled his pants down, bent over, grabbed his butt cheeks as he was walking away, according to the police report. He was wearing it. He still had his underwear on, so this is not nearly as graphic as it may seem. Police officer later observed building surveillance video which showed a man, confirmed by building manager to be Matthews, walking towards the elevator with his pants at his ankles. None of the allegations have been proven in court. Sounds like a regular Monday night in Chilliwack or Friday night in Chilliwack. Any night of the week, it sounds like something you can see down the road in Chilliwack, or perhaps in Abbotsford as well. I haven't been to clubs in Abbotsford, but I've been to many clubs in Chilliwack, and it sounds to me like Austin Matthews would have got along great with a lot of people I graduated from high school with. I don't see anything here that's going to cause a suspension. I don't see anything here that's going to cause any kind of court action at all, because the thing is, there's a court appearance about this tomorrow. He's not registered. He doesn't have to go to court. He was not arrested. No police officer showed up and put him in handcuffs and arrested him, and he doesn't have to appear in court. It's a misdemeanor. It's nothing. It is honestly, it's being blown up because it's Austin Matthews. If it was Phil Kessel, we'd have a good laugh about it. And if it was somebody in the American Hockey League, if it was a fringe NHLer, we would not be talking about this. We're talking about it because it's Austin Matthews. And I feel kind of bad for the kid. This is one of those things that, everybody's got their drunken stories from when they're in their early 20s, late teens, and this is just one of them. And now it's out there for everybody. And obviously, it's mildly embarrassing, but it's amusing as well. And it definitely sounds like he wasn't in his right mind. He shouldn't have been outside. He should have been in an apartment in a safe place, because his friends need to keep better track of him. That's where, when something like this happens, you ask yourself, where are your friends? And I'm going to do just a little bit of a flashback for me. The only time I ever drank to the point where I blacked out, the last thing I remembered before I blacked out, was a friend of mine from work looking me in the eyes and going, Shannon's in rough shape. We'd better get some water into him. I blacked out everything after that. When I went back to work the following Monday, I approached her and I said, I'd like to thank you for not letting them kill me. I don't drink, and I had way too many shots that night. And I'm pretty sure that if she hadn't intervened and started getting water, because she told me, she said, yeah, I started giving you water after that. You weren't having any more alcohol. Alcohol poisoning, certainty. And who knows from there. And there was one of those nights that I had no idea what had happened. I have a feeling Matthews might have had one of those nights and didn't have a friend who'd look him in the eyes and go, guys, we're going to kill Austin. We need to stop this. Okay, that's done. Let us set it aside. Let us talk about tonight's hockey. Now, the Rangers played the Islanders tonight. A big game for the Rangers. And again, the preseason, every fan base is kind of excited about what they see in the preseason. You can find something that you look at and go, that's good news. No scoring in the first. In the second period, Kravtsov scores to make it 1-0 for the Rangers. And Panarin, who had an excellent game, scores to make it 2-0 for the Rangers. In the third, Jordan Eberle scores to make it close, but Panarin ends up hitting the empty net, and the Rangers win it 3-1. So this rivalry is alive and well, and the Rangers win the game. The shots were tied at 30. The hits were 30-18 in favor of the New York Islanders. Thomas Greiss saves 27 out of 29 for the Islanders. Lundqvist saved 13 out of 13, and then Georgiev went in and saved 16 out of 17. That's going to be your tandem again this year with the Rangers, is my guess. No offense to Shesterkin or anybody else going for a job. Those are your goaltenders with the Rangers this year. So, nice victory for them, and I believe there's a rematch that'll be taking place on Nassau after this. But anyways, there you go, 3-1 score. Florida, they beat up on Tampa. Tampa's not having a great preseason. Once we hit October 2nd, it's forgotten. But it hasn't been a great preseason. So we'll see if this bleeds over into the season or if it's just, okay, dividing line, and then the regular season starts and it's another 60-plus wins. Volkov scores in the first to make it 1-0 for Tampa. Frankie Vetrano then scores to tie it for Florida. Second period, Florida goes crazy. Barkov scores, then Cirelli scores to tie it for Tampa at 2, and then Barkov scores again, followed by Huberdeau, and Toninato gets a goal as well Tony Nato scores for Florida. And then Sergachev scored for Tampa to make it close, but in the third, Malgin with a goal for Florida makes it 6-3. So if you're a Panthers fan, everything went well tonight. Although the shots were only 24-22 for Florida, the hits were 21-13 for Tampa. Vasilevsky, stat line he's going to want to forget, 18 saves on 24 shots. Vasi really needs to play well this year. For Tampa, Tampa has a stacked team, no doubt in my mind, but they still need really solid goaltending from Vasilevsky if they're going to hope to make that next step in the playoffs this year. And if you're watching and you said, oh, you mean win a game this year, that's mean. Florida, 12 saves on 14 shots for Bobrovsky, and Driedger with 7 saves on 8 shots. Montembeault had the night off. Dallas, they go in and beat St. Louis 2-1 tonight. First period, Dickinson gets a goal for Dallas, shorthanded, to make it 1-0. Second period, Klingberg made it 2-0 for the Dallas Stars. And in the third, the one goal is scored for St. Louis by Ryan O'Reilly. Final shots were 29-18 in favor of St. Louis. The hits were 16 apiece. Bow had 15 saves on 15 shots for Dallas. Ottinger, 13 saves on 14 shots for him. So both the starter and the backup for Dallas got the night off tonight, Bishop and Hudobin. And Jake Allen saved 16 out of 18 for the St. Louis Blues in the loss. Arizona, decent night for the Coyotes. They get the win tonight over Edmonton. And if you're an Oilers fan, It's just the preseason. It's just exhibition games. It's fine. There are some worrying things with Edmonton, but we'll see. This was Connor McDavid's first game tonight. He played roughly 19 minutes, got a couple shots on net. Nice to see he played the full game, and I haven't seen any reports of any sort of injury or anybody taking shots at him for Arizona, so that's good to see. Krause scores the one goal in the first period for Arizona. Second period, Bunting scores to make it 2-0, and then Nugent Hopkins scored for Edmonton to make it 2-1 game. In the third period, Grabner scores to make it 3-1. Sheahan scores for Edmonton to make it a close game before Stepan scores to make it a 4-2 game for Arizona. One thing with Arizona, they have to be able to score goals this year. They have to score, I would think, a minimum of 3 goals per game to really have a chance at a playoff spot. And if their offense struggles at all this year, like it did last year, they may find themselves on the outside looking in again. Shots were 40-33 in favor of Edmonton, and Edmonton also had an edge in shots, or hits, I should say, 25-23. Aiden Hill, 38 saves on 40 shots. It's amazing to me that Aiden Hill puts up good numbers at the NHL level, because his AHL numbers, kind of middling, and yet at the NHL level, he's good. Smith, 15 saves on 17 shots for him. Koskinen also played 14 saves on 16 shots for him, as Edmonton is still kind of seeking who's going to be the starter. I don't see a clear starter emerging in the preseason in these exhibition games. So we'll see where things end up for Edmonton. We've got roughly a week, a little bit less than a week and a half to get it all figured out before the games are important. Calgary, this was a quiet game. I'm not going to lie. This was a relatively quiet game. No scoring in the first. Second period, Monahan scored to make it 1-0 for Calgary. Then Bennett scored to make it 2-0. And that's your scoring. So third period, no scoring in that. The shots were 32-20 in favor of Calgary. The story for this game for me was the fact that Winnipeg had 2 rookies in the net, and they both played pretty darn well. The hits were 17-7 in favor of Winnipeg. So 7 hits for the Flames, a team with Lucic on it. I'm pretty sure Lucic played tonight. I know I heard his name. Comrie, 18 saves on 20 shots. And then Burden went in, 13 saves on 13 shots. And that's how the announcer was pronouncing his name, Burden. So I'm leaving it at that, even though it looks like Burdine to me because I know that he's Russian. Riddick saves all 20 shots he faces, gets himself a shutout. It's going to be Riddick's net. I don't see any way that Riddick's not the starter on opening night for them on the 2nd. Anyways, moving along to the last game of the night. All right, and there's going to be people out there going, he didn't put the score up for the last game. Yeah, right. So it's up there now. It's 4-1 was the final score for the Anaheim Ducks. What was impressive for this game, to me with this game, was this. The Ducks looked unprepared early, and the Sharks were swarming, and then the Ducks got it together. It felt a lot like last year's Ducks, where they would just get outshot badly, and Gibson was doing everything he could to keep them in it. But by the end of the year, when you're playing every game that way, it gets really tiring and wears you down, and it did it to Gibson. First period, Martinson scored for Anaheim, which kind of was against the flow of the play, and it felt like maybe Dell was going to have a rough night. He didn't. However, Silverberg scores for Anaheim to make it 2-0 after 1. Second period, Gooley scores for Anaheim to make it 3-0. So Brendan Gooley, if he can have a good year, Anaheim might be on to something. Brodzinski scores for San Jose to make it a 3-1 game before the end of the second period. We then get into the third period, and in the last minute, a shorthanded goal is scored by Grant. I believe that was of the empty net variety to make it 4-1. So, good game. There was definitely some chippy play in this one. They talked in this as well about a scary incident with Fowler where he took a puck to the face and he was worried that, that he broke the orbital bone last year, missed 23 games, and he was worried that maybe it was going to be the same, but he said the pain wasn't as bad. So once he was in the locker room getting stitched up, he realized that it wasn't as bad. The shots in this game turned out to be 37-32 for Anaheim. Considering San Jose had, I believe it was the first 6 shots of the game, Anaheim really took over after that. San Jose out-hit Anaheim 18-13. Dell saves 33 out of 36, so if you're looking for a silver lining as a Sharks fan, definitely Dell ended up having a very good second and third period, and his stats ended up being pretty good. Dell had a brutal year last year. And then Gibson, 31 saves on 32 shots. Ho-hum, no big deal. he once again saves the tails and the skins of the Anaheim Ducks. So there you go. You guys are all caught up on tonight's action and on action from May in Scottsdale. And I don't picture that I will ever talk about the Matthews incident again. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.